Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Two Cents, or welcome if you are new to my channel. So, we're going to continue with my Twilight Zone review series here. So, we left off with episode 10 from season 1 in our last video. Today, we're going to take a look at season 1, episode 11, When the Sky Was Opened. And this is a pretty well known and When the Sky Was Open, the pretty popular episode. So this is an episode that aired on December 11th, 1959. It's an adaptation of the 1953 Richard Matheson short story titled Disappearing Act. And this was a teleplay by Rod Serling based on, like I said, Richard Matheson's Disappearing Act. The short story was directed by Douglas Hayes, and it is season 1, episode 11, and When the Sky Was Open. The episode stars Rod Taylor as Lieutenant Colonel Clegg Forbes, Charles Aidman as Colonel Ed Harrington, Jim Hutton as Major William Gart. And that's pretty much as far as the cast goes for the most part. So basically what this episode is you have these three astronauts, these three spacemen that take this aircraft into space, and they disappear for like 24 hours. They're off the grid, off the radar, and they end up crashing in the Mojave Desert. So the ship is crashed up, and the three of them end up in the hospital, although two of them get released right away, where the third one gets a broken leg. And this episode really focuses mostly on the character of Clegg Forbes, played by Rod Taylor, who's excellent in this episode, I think. And it's really a sci-fi kind of more of a sci-fi Twilight Zone episode, and basically, um, Rod Taylor's character of Clegg Forbes he's visiting Harrington in the hospital, or not Harrington. I'm sorry, I'm getting my names confused here. Yeah, William Gart is who he's visiting in the hospital. Harrington is the third astronaut, but we don't see him in this particular scene. So Forbes is visiting Gart, and he's really nervous and kind of out of it. You could tell, and Gart's asking him what's up, and he basically he says, confirm my story here that, and he goes through this, and he says, I left here with Ed Harrington yesterday, and Gart said, I don't know Ed Harrington. So then he flashes back and tells him the story of going back 24 hours to when him and Harrington got released, and what happened to him. And it's really quite a chilling episode in a lot of ways. I actually think this is one of the scarier episodes when you consider what's actually happening in this episode. Throughout it is each of these guys are kind of disappearing, and nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows who they are. I mean, they bring up the name even though a few minutes later, um, like for example, Forbes goes to this bar with Harrington, and they both get a beer, and then all of a sudden, Harrington feels like he needs to call his folks, and he goes to the phone booth, and there's a gal sitting at the bar. There's the bartender that recognizes both of them and says the beer's on the house because you guys are the famous astronauts and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, um, Gart calls over, or Harrington calls over Forbes and says something doesn't feel right. He called home and his folks didn't know who he was or what was going on. And um, all of a sudden he's gone. He's not in the phone booth anymore. And then when Forbes goes back to the bar, he says, "Where's my buddy's drink?" And they're like, "Who?" So it's really weird. It's just a really eerie kind of mystery going on in this episode. And then towards the end of the episode, basically Forbes ends up disappearing, and then Garth is the only one left, and then you can imagine where it goes from there. So this is a really good episode for a reason. I find it very, very creepy, very well acted, very well directed, with a great twist. The episode finally ends where the ship that they show at the beginning is gone, and there's just this tarp laying on the ground. And of course, you get Rod Serling's narration. Um, yeah, there's a reason this is one of the most talked about and popular episodes for good reason. And I'm going to give this episode a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's damn near a perfect episode. One of the very best from season 1 so far. for and when the sky was open. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for me. So go ahead and comment your thoughts down below about this episode. And with that being said, that's episode 11 from season 1 and when the sky was open. Thank you for watching this review and stay tuned for the next one. Bye.